Hey guys, this is Paul, and today we're going to go through the process of adding mines to the game. Mines is something I've always wanted to add, and a lot of backers want mines added, and they're pretty awesome and cool and unique. Not a lot of space sims have mines, not a lot of real-time strategy games have mines, so this is a great fit for this project. So first we're going to go through the concept stage. The general idea behind mines is that they're a lot like missiles. In Void Destroyer, you can mod the game, you can mod the missiles, and through this, one of the backers modded a missile, and it pretty much resembled a mine. So that kind of jogged my memory. Hey, let's add some mines. Let's do an update. Let's show you guys how it's done. A lot of people are interested how games are made, so here's my opportunity to do that. So I went ahead and I modded the MIRV launcher. It's a weapon that shoots a torpedo that splits into a bunch of little missiles. I modded that launcher to shoot more missiles, and also I modded the missiles not to be active, not to start flying off, so they're going to be drifting in space. So let's take a look at what that looks like. And it happens to look like a bunch like a little mines, right? So that's the concept, and we're going to go from there on to the coding phase. So the first thing we're going to do in code, we're going to go to our source code directory here, and we're just going to take our missile code, going to paste this, rename it into mine. We're going to take this new code, this copied code, we are going to throw it into our development platform here, Visual Studio, drop it there, open it up. Now this is still missile code, right? So we're going to rename everything from missile to mine. There we go. Everything is mine now. And certain things we're going to take out. For example, time till active, we can take out the target. This basic mine is not going to have targets. What else can we take out? There's not going to be trails. Mines are not going to have trails. So in this way, we're going to customize this mine code to be unique. Even though we're jumping off the base of missiles, we can have different kinds of mines, and we can have them unique objects very quickly. So we passed the initial coding phase where we copy pasted a lot of code. We modified that code to make it unique to mines. And so we were very quickly able to create a basic code support for mines. Now we need to go and add mines as an object in the game. And the way we do this is Void Destroyer is designed to be very moddable. So it has this data directory. This data directory exists outside of the source code, and whatever's in this directory, as long as the source code supports that type of an object, that type of an object can be added to this data directory. When the game engine starts running, it reads this directory and it reads these objects in, and whatever are in here get tossed into the game. So this includes ships, planets, suns, debris, effects like ribbons, explosions, all sorts of things, right? So we're focused on mines here, so we're going to go to the weapons directory. We're going to do some copy pasting. Perez missile launcher, we're going to copy this and rename it to Perez mine launcher. Here we need to make this a little bit more unique, so we're going to call this a mine weapon type. The unique weapon ID is going to be a Perez mine launcher. Ammo is going to be a mine 00. You can just rename this to mine launcher. Fire sound is okay. All these other issues are okay. Muzzle flash, these are all moddable by the player, but these are all okay. We don't have to worry about these. We can close this, and I'm going to scroll up here. Here's our ammo and missiles directory. I'm going to add a mine directory here just to keep things better organized. I'm going to go into missiles. I'm going to copy that missile we saw fired before. Toss it into the mine directory. I'm going to rename this to mine 00. Remember, that's the mine ID for the ammo for that launcher. Object type is going to be mine. Object ID is going to be mine 00. All of this other stuff is okay. And we are going to go to the ships. I'm going to take this Perez M, I'm going to paste it. I'm going to call this the Perez mine. open this guy up. Object ID is going to be Perez mine. Name is going to be Perez mine. And here, instead of the Perez missile launcher, we're going to make this the Perez mine launcher. Weapon type is a mine weapon. All this position is okay. So basically we've done everything we need to do. We put in the source code, the basic source code. We added the XML files for the game engine to pick this up. And now we're ready for our very basic initial mine test. So now we are at the initial testing phase in the game engine. We are going to go into the instant action mode, into the battle editor. Because I created that Perez mine ship, it shows up here, right? It shows up here. It was read by my game engine because it's a unique object there. It shows up there. I'm going to add it to the game world. And because this is very boring, very, very boring, I'm going to go environment. And I'm going to create an asteroid field. I'm going to give it a little bit of spin so you guys are not extremely bored to death. Toss this light out of there, right? I'm going to hit play. So now we're going to see the very initial result of our labor. Switch to maybe orbit mode here. There's our Perez mine. It has a mine launcher. That's that XML file we created. And I'm just going to thrust up a little bit. Turn off auto thrust. I'm going to hit the trigger. And there's our mines. So very, very basic mines. They actually don't do anything, right? They're just static there. We also use the missile model, but they're in the game world. And to prove that, I can hit my debug for my physics side, and we see that physics sees them, which is very good, very cool. So my copy pasting grabbed the physics side, and let's change this. Okay, let's make this model be unique, a unique model for missiles. So we are at the modeling stage. We're going to replace that other missile model with a unique mine model. I'm using Blender. It's a free software. I'm using a very old version of Blender. It's probably 4 years old at this point, but I'm used to it, and I don't do quite a lot of modeling. I do more texture mapping. I'm not a great modeler, so this is going to be enough for us. So we have this cube here. This is going to be our basis of a mine. I'm going to split this cube into these two pieces, and I'm going to grab this middle of this cube, shrink it, extrude it, scale it inward, grab this portion, scale them a little bit. So that kind of looks like a mine, right? Close enough for my modeling skills. So now I'm going to texture map this. So I unwrap this portion, and here's my texture. Maybe I'll make this red for danger, right? So I'm not going to bore you guys with this, but in this way I'm going to texture this this really basic mine, and we'll see in the game engine in a few moments. So we textured our mine. One of the secrets to great modeling that I always try to do, my secret of my super bad modeling is to make things really small so you can't see how bad they are. So I'm going to export this textured mine into the format that Ogre uses. Ogre is the rendering engine inside of Void Destroyer. And I'm going to hit export. And this is going to create a mesh file, .mesh file. This is the file that Ogre uses. And in this way you can export whatever out of whatever modeling software into Ogre's format. It's going to be picked up by the game engine. So I'm going to change this XML file in mines directory, and instead of S missile mesh, it's going to be mine 00 mesh. So now when I launch the mine, it should pick up this new mesh, and it should look more like a mine, although still terrible. So we're back in the game engine, and those XML changes and those exports of that new mesh should change the model of that mine from the old missile model to our new really bad mine models. Let's shoot some mines, and there we go. So we have some new mines here. They're really terrible models, but they're very small, so I guess you guys can forgive me for a little bit till we get a proper model in place with a proper artist's help. So now, as you can see, these mines are just static. They're not going to affect anything. I can just fly right through them. I didn't blow up, right? They didn't blow up. So now I'm going to go back to the source code, and I'm going to code in logic for these mines. I'm going to add them actually exiting, moving out of these launch tubes and slowing down. And then I'm going to code in what happens when an object gets near them, basically them exploding. So after a little bit of coding, the mines are now going to inherit the firing ship's momentum, because we are in Newtonian space, we are in space, so momentum is conserved. They're also going to get a little bit of speed and momentum from the launchers themselves pushing them out, but like good mines, like good little mines, they are going to slow down and hold their position, so you'll see them fly out and you'll see them slow down. Then they're going to explode because I've given them a limited life timer. But here we go. We're going to launch some mines. Next up, we're going to weaponize this mine. So we're going to give it damage. So a lot of objects in the game have these explosion IDs. What these do, first of all, visually you see a nice little explosion, but they can also have different impact. But for now, let's just kind of discuss this explosion ID. So ships, when they explode, they trigger this explosion ID. When a missile hits something, this explosion ID happens. When a bullet hits something, this explosion ID happens. And this mine has this mine explosion 00. If we go to its XML file, it is of type impact, so it's not just visual. It has this cubed of 200 by 200 by 200. That's the blast radius. Has a push force, so it's going to be able to push an object away, and it has a damage of 100. So now that we added the explosion to the mine that actually has damage, I also added this proximity check. It's going to check for ships within 100 units of the mine, and if a ship gets that close, it's going to explode. So let's look at it in game. Now that we weaponized our mines, we're going to have a test. So I'm going to switch to tactical mode. I'm going to designate this spot as a nav marker here. I have my two volunteers here. Hopefully they won't be both needed. I'm going to launch my mines. I'm going to afterburn out of the way, hopefully before they activate. Now I'm going to ask one of our volunteers from the audience to kindly move towards the minefield. Here he comes. And there he goes. Thank you very much. You've been most cooperative. So if you remember at the first few moments of this video, we shot a torpedo that split into multiple missiles. Let's look at that again. And that's pretty cool, right? So of course, we're going to want something similar for our mine launcher. So I'm going to shoot a torpedo that's going to split into a bunch of mines. And they're a bit hard to see because they are fairly small, but you can see one over there. It's going to come to a stop right there. So now we have a torpedo that launches mines, right? So now we need another volunteer from the audience. It looks like nobody's speaking up, so maybe I'm going to have to do this myself. So let's see what happens. It's about what I expected to happen. I'm going to do another demo. Here's our ship. Here's our enemies. They are pursuing me. I'm going to launch my torpedo. I'm going to back up. Launch another torpedo. And let's watch. There we go. So actually that torpedo splitting into mines, it almost took longer to do the XML than it took to do the code. Since I already had code that split torpedo into missiles, I just modified that to have a torpedo split into mines. But if we look at the XML, here's a weapon type of missile, and it's the Perez torpedo mine launcher. Here's my Perez torpedo mine launcher, and it shoots this Perez torpedo mine torpedo 00, which is here, mine torpedo 00, and this guy has a MRV count of 7. Its mines shoots mine 00, which is right here, and that is what we saw. So in doing this, you can quickly mod the game. You can add different kind of objects. You can have all sorts of fun. I'm not going to stop just at these two types of mines. I'm going to add mines that split into missiles, right? So the opposite. I'm going to have a mine that goes into a missile. I'm going to add mines that will track capital ships, that will slowly float towards capital ships. I'll also add like energy mines and maybe even gravity mines that will pull ships and then explode, pushing them out. So I hope this demonstrates one of the reasons for the Kickstarter campaign. Now we have these mines, but we don't have a ship to fire them out of. And it would be kind of boring if all you saw is the same old ship firing different kinds of weapons. So the coding side of this is easy for me. But the art side, that's the problem. That's the reason for the Kickstarter. Thank you for your support, and thank you for watching.